Everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Bro Man with an Opinion podcast. Has been a little bit. My last video was about Juan Soto. A couple of unexpected things came up. Then, of course, we had Christmas, and now we're going into the new year. So, Happy New Year to everybody. Today is December 31st, last day of the year. Actually, 2:30 on the dot that I'm recording this. So, I'm a little late on a couple of topics that I did want to cover. Such as Luigi Mangione, the United Healthcare CEO killer, alleged killer, excuse me. We got a couple of things going on in sports, with the Giants and the Jets, and just, playoff football coming up next week. This weekend, I believe. I believe this Sunday is the last for the regular season, and then on Saturday we should be getting the wild card games. Just like baseball, playoff football to me, I love it. I'm not so much really into basketball too much, so I really can't get into that atmosphere. A good friend of mine, he's a Boston Celtics fan, and he gets pumped up when it comes time to the playoffs. But for me, baseball and football playoffs is just a different animal. It's just the energy is just so different. And it's funny about baseball and football where baseball is more regional. If you're a New York Yankee fan and you're a New York Met fan, you'll probably watch each other's games. I know, depending on who the Mets are playing, and I'm not a Met fan, I'm a Yankee fan, but depending on who the Mets are playing, because the Yankees and them play at the same time, I'll flip over and see, what's going on with the Met game, especially if our game is like a blowout. Either we're getting blown out or we're blowing out the other team. There's really not much to see. I'll jump to see what the Mets are doing. If the Yankees have a night off and the Mets are playing, I'll watch the Mets. If the Mets are on the West Coast and their game's at 10 o'clock, I'll flip over. But, will I sit there and watch, a Padres versus, a Diamondback game? No. Unless I'm really bored, I probably would. But other than that, I wouldn't. But with football, it really doesn't matter. You're gonna watch the Broncos. You're gonna watch the Bengals. You're gonna watch the Colts. Whether you're a Jets or Giants fan, you're gonna watch the other games. You're gonna watch Red Zone and see what's going on with the other games. So I always just found that aspect interesting. That baseball is more regional and football is national, that you're going to watch any team, because I watch all the games. Unless it's like like recently, I forgot the two teams who recently played. Neither one was going anywhere, so the game was really meaningless. I really didn't really care for it too much. But even last night's game with the 49ers and the Lions, the 49ers are out of it, the Lions are in it. In the playoffs, and for the most part, it was for the most part a meaningless game. Like, it meant nothing for the 49ers, really, just to go out, try to go out a little respectable, and ended up being a pretty good game. I mean, last week's games with the Bengals and the Broncos, I mean, that was that was a great game, and you got both teams fighting to get in, and that's what just makes it exciting. But very exciting time. Like I said, I love this time of year. I also am, I grew up watching wrestling, WWE. I'm not as much of a fan as I was as a kid. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that I grew up with have, unfortunately, most of them are no longer with us, and a lot of them have retired. I mean, my last guy that I like was The Undertaker, and it's so hard to believe that he retired, close to, oh God, it'll be like 4 years in November that he retired. He retired in 2020, November of 2020. And it's just like so weird. It's just weird how fast time is going. Recently Jimmy Carter, we just heard, passed away. And for some reason it clicked in my head, because he passed away at 99. I'm sorry, at 100. I believe Betty White passed away at 99. But I just remember when Betty White passed away, somebody put out a comment, one of the celebrities put out a comment, like, really, to the year, because she passed away in 22. It was like, really, you couldn't wait until, the new year. She could make it to the new year. She had to, pass away just before the new year. And I'm sitting there thinking that Betty White passed away she passed away in 21. And they say, really 2021, like you couldn't let her get into 2022 before she passed away. And for some reason, I'm thinking Betty White passed away in 2023, but she passed away in 21. That's what I'm saying. It's just how fast time is just going by. I'm thinking stuff like just happened, but it happened 2 or 3 years ago. And it's just as you get older, you know, time moves so fast. I mean, how many of us remember being in elementary school or being in high school? It's like, oh my God, we're never gonna get out of here. Can it just be at 2 o'clock so we could just go home? But when you're working 8 hours a day, especially if you have kids, and then after work you gotta take the kids to whatever practice that they're in, it's just amazing how time flies by. Even somebody who used to go to school with, I see some of their stuff on Facebook, and his sister has a daughter, and every now and then, because I'm not really a social media guy. I'm not. I don't have Instagram. I have a Facebook because someone went to high school with nagged me to do a Facebook page, but I don't post anything. I'm just not into the social media thing. Although I'm trying to do this right now, but the few times that I'm on there, maybe somebody from the past will reach out, or I'll go and watch a couple of those prank videos, or somebody who does a prank video that I like. I'll go. So sometimes I'll see that she has posted something about her kid, and she did this. I forgot what you call it, but just like the different years. Like, okay, Christmas. This was her first one, second one, and it's like this kid just celebrated her 8th birthday, and I'm like, 8 years have passed and she had this kid. I'm like, where is the freaking time going? And it's just going so fast, and it's just crazy. But sorry to be rambling on like that, but I just want to get in today. I just wanted to give my opinion on. And like I said, I know I'm behind. There's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna throw on. Going to talk about the Giants. Going to talk about the Jets. Going to talk about Luigi Mangione. Going to talk about the new commissioner, Tish, and she's pretty much cleaning house with all the stuff that's coming out. Obviously, talk about a little bit about Sean Diddy Combs. Talk about Jay-Z. Um, and something I haven't gotten into yet, but talk about politics. Biden is on his way out, and well, he's probably already on his way out because man just done disappeared, man done checked out. And Trump is going to be coming back in. So, and then where the Democrats are going to go in 2025, because I have my own thoughts on why they lost. They blame Biden, but to me, it's not Biden's fault that they lost. But today's topic is going to be about the congestion pricing, because I do have some opinions on the congestion pricing, and I know there's been a lot of lawsuits going back and forth, and then she put it on pause, and now it's back. So this kind of leads into what the issue is, or one of the issues is with politics, is that, and whether it's Democrat or Republican, they think we're stupid, okay? Because congestion pricing was supposed to happen before the election, okay? And then magically Hochul decides, let's put this on hold. Let's give it some more review. There's a lot of people upset. Let's go through this and see what kind of changes that we can make. Bullshit. You did it because you saw how unpopular it was, and you thought it would help the Democrats if you put this thing on hold. Now, clearly, that did not work. But also, we're not stupid. We know you put it on hold, and we know that right after the election, whether you won or lost, you were going to put it back into place anyway. The only difference that you did was that you took it down from $15 to $9. That was the only difference that you did. Okay? Now, as of now, this congestion pricing does not really affect me because I don't drive into the city on a regular basis. I used to work in the city. I used to work on 34th Street. So I always took the train. However, once in a blue moon, I would drive. Especially during COVID time, when there was nobody on the road. It was the only thing that I loved about COVID, was that there was nobody on the freaking roads, and I could get to the city in like 20 minutes with no problem. My boss would be like, "I need you to go to the office and get this." Oh, no problem. I drive right down there, come right back. That's what I loved about it. There was just no freaking traffic. When the traffic came back, I'm like, "Oh my God, the traffic's back." But on some days, like today, if I still worked in the city, I probably would have gone. I probably would have drove because there's not a lot of traffic, and it's normally a half day where they tell us we could leave at 2 o'clock, but people leave at 12 o'clock, people leave at 1 o'clock, so I just would have left anyway. You know, Same thing with Christmas. I don't know about that. Probably would have took the train on Thanksgiving, even though the trains are crowded. But usually on certain holidays when I know that we were going to get out early, I would drive. Sometimes late night, I would go back to the office to go do something. Sometimes I couldn't sleep, and I watched all my movies, I played video games, and I was just a little restless, or something was on my mind that I knew that I had to finish, and sometimes it just eats at you until you do it. I would drive back down to the office at 10 o'clock on a Friday night, you know 10 o'clock midnight on a Saturday night to just go to the office just to take care of it because it was just eating at me. And if I was dating somebody at the time, they could clearly see I was distracted by something, and they would think that I was crazy for going back there. But I'm like, it's bothering me. I just got to go freaking do it, and I would just run down there and go do it. But at those times, I wouldn't be affected by it. But now, the hours is obviously going to be during rush hour, and I think until the weekends, it's up until 9 o'clock or something like that. I could look that up in case you guys um, haven't heard. But the congestion pricing is going to affect a lot of people, and you know, I think the criticism is that how many times. So what's going to happen is that under congestion pricing, the peak fee will be $9 from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends, and then 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends, and then the off peak would be a 75% discount. Now, to me, that part is not fair. After 9 o'clock, why do you still have to pay to go in? I mean, come on, the roads are not congested like that unless construction is happening. And I've even been down it because my old office is right across the street from Madison Square Garden and right across from the Manhattan Center. And when there were events, yeah, it was a bit crowded in that area. Less that's because they were doing construction in the middle of the road at that time, so you know how it is in the city. But I just don't think it's fair. Number one, that after the peak is over, you're still charging somebody to go down there. I don't care if it's $2.25. That's ridiculous. So that piece should have been eliminated. Number one. Okay. Secondly, how many times? I mean, I remember this going back in high school. That every time the MTA was doing their budget, somehow they always had a deficit, and there was always an issue, and they needed more money. So, what is to give the public the confidence that you're going to bring in all this money and it's going to solve this problem? Because let's say this program doesn't get stopped, and it looks like right now it's going forward. And I believe the reason why she was rushing to get this thing done is because once it's enacted, I believe they said that Trump can't reverse it, or there's going to be some difficulty reversing. Because I already know the Republicans. I think Mike Lawler from New York is already talking about how he's gonna, get this. I guess Congress can take action. I guess if President was able to stop it before it went into effect, he could do it. But I guess now, once it is in effect, I guess you're going to need Congress now to 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 wipe it out. But what is the confidence that, let's just say this goes through for 2 years, and let's say in that 2 years it makes 50. Let's just say it makes $50 million. Let's just say, okay, people going back and forth. Let's just say it makes $50 million. So you're gonna tell us now, well, we still have a shortage, or we're still having issues. You just got I mean, this is brand new revenue, and you're telling me you're still having issues. Now, I get it that some of it you can put a small piece of it on the public because you have the people who jump the fare and don't pay their fare. I get that. And in fairness to the MTA, that does add up. If people are constantly jumping the turnstile, that does add up. It really does. It's just like you thinking you work in a restaurant or you work at a pizza place, and you know what, every day you take a bottle of soda. The soda, let's just say, is 2.75. What's the big deal? I'm taking a soda, it's 2.75, so what? But let's just say you're doing that, you know every day. So let's just say you work there, 6 times a day, but you're taking a soda every day. So, okay, so for that week, you're costing the guy $16.50. Okay? Like I say, do it every week. So there's 4 weeks. Now that's $66 a month. Times that by 12, that's $792 that you're taking out of your boss's pocket, out of the business pocket. And if you're someone who's been there for certain, it adds up. It really does. I know it seems small, but if enough people are doing it and it's happening, that is fair. However, the MTA does have a lot of wasteful spending. I mean, how many times do we catch people or hear the stories that all these people are making all this ridiculous overtime? And I I used to work out with somebody who worked at the MTA, and he would say, "Yeah, a lot of these guys get this overtime. They'll go work on this, they'll go work on Sunday, and they don't do shit. They just need a body there. They don't do anything, but they're collecting it." And it's the same thing with Con Ed, because I remember when I was getting my car fixed at Meineke years ago, and I remember, I think it was like Easter weekend or something like that, or no, I think it was around the holidays. And the guy was like, "Are you going to bring?" He goes, "Yeah." He's like, "Of course." He's like, "I'm going to get all this overtime for doing nothing." He was like, "Every holiday, I tell my boss, put me on. Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving." I remember he even said something about Easter. Memorial Day, 4th of July. He was like, "Put me on," because I think he gets double pay, and he's like, I go there for 5 hours and I don't have to do anything. So the overtime issue is a problem as well. you know. And you're telling me after all these years that you're always raising tolls, raising the fares, that you couldn't fix those tracks, you couldn't fix those areas that had the signal problems, you couldn't do any of that stuff. So that's why I'm wondering, what is the faith that they think that the public is going to have in this to like be okay with this? Like, you know what? I think it's like when most people feel about taxes. If you feel like your tax dollars are really being used and allocated the right way, you're really not going to mind paying the taxes because you're seeing the results of it. We don't see the results of this with the transit system because the transit system sucks. Okay, and I get the transit system is old. It's been around for a long time. Just like that pipe that busted in the Bronx that was put in 1890, which I don't see how between 1890 and now nobody thought, maybe we need to check this pipe and change something. But I get the system is old, but it's just like New Jersey Transit. It's like we have the same issues all the freaking time. So what are you doing with our money? And to think that you're easing the pain or trying to make it better, that you took it from $15 to $9, I disagree. I don't think this should be happening at all. You already got to pay tolls, and now you got to pay this. And then here's the ironic thing about this. Go back to 2005, 2006. Mayor Bloomberg. Does anybody remember the project that Bloomberg wanted to do? I'm just going to give you a second. And I'm just going to give you a little hint to help jog anybody's memory. Hudson Yards. So I'm going to give you just a little bit to try to remember what was the project that Mayor Bloomberg wanted to do with Hudson Yards. And I find it ironic because they told him no. The city council, I forgot somebody else, stood in his way and said no. They blocked it. And the number one reason why was because they said it was going to cause too much congestion, cause too much traffic, and obviously the environmental, all the stuff that New York City and that area was congested enough, and that you were just going to overload transit, you were going to overload the streets and everything like that, and it was just going to be gridlock around that area if he got to do what he wanted to do. Okay, so now that I just did that little ramble, what he wanted to do was, before we had the Hudson Yards, I think it was Hudson Rails or whatever, and what Bloomberg wanted to do was, rather than what ended up happening, which was building a city within a city, Bloomberg wanted to build a stadium. And he wanted to build the stadium for two reasons. One, because he wanted the Olympics to come here, and he wanted to have the Olympics housed in that stadium once it was complete. And secondly, it was going to be a stadium for the Jets. And they told him no. Fast forward now, damn near 20 years later, what the hell are we talking about now? New York City was always congested. So I really don't see what the hell is the difference between now and then. Because clearly you got the same damn problem. So you could have had the Jets here. You could have possibly had the Olympics here. The amount of jobs it would have created, the tax revenue that it would have brought in, and you let that go through. You let that slip through. So rather than playing in MetLife in Jersey, at least the Jets could have been playing on 34th Street. But City Council didn't want to do it because, you already had Madison Square Garden right across. But, I mean, look at the hubs. You had Penn Station. I don't know if the 7 train was over there. The 7 train I don't think went there yet. So you didn't have the 7 train yet. But I'm quite sure they would have done that. I'm quite sure they would have put the 7 train to go to 34th Street. So it just seems so ass backwards to me that you were and granted, most likely the same council people who are in office now obviously weren't there. But I'm quite sure the ones who were there in the past are probably like, well, damn, you know what? We ended up in a situation anyway. Might as well just let Bloomberg have his damn stadium. But I disagree with this congestion pricing, and it's going to go into effect on January 5th. And hopefully it'll be temporary because hopefully, once the control of Congress is in, the New York rep will have the support to quash this. And it's possible because maybe because in this last election Republicans made a gain in New York, and Trump got a lot of votes. Even though he didn't win the state, he got a lot more votes than what he did last time in New York. So I'm not saying that New York is flipping to red. I'm not saying New York is becoming a battleground state, but there is probably some optimism from the Republicans after what they saw what Trump did. So in their mind, they might be thinking, hey, we could probably flip this governor's back to a Republican, because there hasn't been a Republican governor in New York since Pataki. And honestly, I am quite surprised that Hochul beat Lee Zeldin, because I thought Lee Zeldin had it. Even my family, we were very surprised that Lee Zeldin did not win the election for governor. So it's totally possible that Lawler can get the support and probably try to quash this. It's possible because I don't think the state Senate of New York has switched to Republican. So we'll see what happens with it, but I just think it's just absolutely um, ridiculous, and I think the MTA needs to find other ways to raise this money. Or, you know what, if you're going to do this congestion pricing, I think you need to lower the $9, maybe make it $3, and then for the off peak, make it nothing. You don't get charged for off peak, and make this thing $3. Or you can do that in conjunction with cutting some stuff at the MTA, whether that's cutting, over bloated office staff. Because last I heard, I think they had some shortages with train conductors, everything like that. But in the office, Can you make some cuts there? I hate to say this because I'm not a fan of it, but maybe you're gonna have to freeze salary increases or, reduce the matching that you do. I hate throwing those things out there because you don't want to mess with people's worker salaries and their money, even though that's what they're doing to the public now, trying to suck all this money out. But I just think they need to find something else to do, and I'm not 100% sure it's even going to work anyway, because you have people who do not feel safe in the subway and just might say, you know what, if I got to pay the extra $9, I'd rather pay the extra $9 and not get shot, not get stabbed, not get pushed on the subway tracks, and now not be set on fire. I think that's the option that people are going to go, because you are not doing anything to give the public faith that the subway is safe. Some guy just got slashed in the arm, I think, 2 nights ago on the subway. And, when Adams was trying to tell everybody, well, the subway system is safe, it's just your perception. And I'm like, again, these politicians think we're stupid. It's not our perception, asshole. We are seeing, we are seeing these actions be caught on camera, and we are seeing that this guy looked around and pushed this person on the subway track. We're seeing that this person just decided to randomly attack this person. So it's not our perception. We're seeing this. I mean, you can throw all your statistics out there that you want. And it's the same thing, and I'm going to talk about this in my video about the Democrats, where they're going to go in 2025, is, they try to throw out these numbers, inflation's coming down, prices are coming down, unemployment's low, and all this other kind of stuff. And then, Adams and the commissioner at the time is trying to tell us that, well, crime is down overall. And, I remember, I used to watch The View, and it's hard for me to watch The View now because, to me, Whoopi has just become like this cranky, mean person now, and I can't stand Sonny. I'm sorry. Sonny just like gets, a little pow face of, things don't go her way. I mean, just how pouty she gets and everything like that. Not everybody's going to think the way that you do, okay? And you can't look down on people because they feel differently. Could they vote for Trump and all this? People voted because they were left no other option, and I'm sure there are people who held their nose and voted for Trump because they had the 4 years of Biden and things didn't go the right way. And then this is what I'm going to say. This was not a winning message, which goes back to what I was saying originally about Adams trying to tell us that the subway system is safe. And try to tell us that, it's just our imagination because the statistics say that the crime is down. And this is what hurt the Democrats. And, everybody else needs to look at this and take this into, really acknowledge this. Biden is telling people that they're okay, but the people are telling you they are not okay. They are still hurting. Eggs are I mean, I went to the damn grocery store, okay? A damn little tub of cream cheese is damn near $8. Now, I didn't need the cream cheese. I was looking for something else, but just looking at the price, I'm like, $7.29 for that damn tub of cream cheese? Orange juice is like $6. The milk is almost $6, depending on which one you get. The milk is almost $6. Don't get me started on the eggs, because that I buy a lot. Don't get me started on the eggs. Okay? So don't tell me that I'm okay when I'm seeing these high ass prices. And that when my shopping cart is not that full and I'm only buying stuff that I really need because I can't afford to splurge, and that shit is still coming to like $120. And you're looking, and I know me personally, sometimes I'll look in that cart as like, I barely have anything. How the fuck does this come out to $120? I barely have anything in here. So that is why the Democrats lost. And that is why I think this congestion pricing is not going to have the. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't think it's going to have the desired effect because I think people are going to say, I'm going to take my chances, pay the extra money, then get hurt riding this up. Because remember, there was a period where it seemed like things were calming down in the subway. We weren't hearing as much, of the stabbings and the being pushed and all this. There was a period that it did get quiet. And yes, that's going to happen. You're going to get those lulls. But it's not a substantiated lull. And now it's like crap is kicking back up again. And when you tell people, oh, the statistics are done, yeah, but yet we're seeing on the news that, oh, this person just got slashed. What was it, Christmas? This girl got stabbed in the throat and then somebody else got cut right after. So it's like the same thing. That's not a winning message. Telling people you're okay when you're not listening. And that was something that happened at my old job. I had been at my old job at that point, I think going on 8 years, I think. And I never, ever, ever, ever complained about the increases I got or the bonuses I got. Yes, there were lots of times I was unhappy, but I kept my mouth shut. And then I'm thinking, okay, I know I did great this year. I said, this is the year I'm finally going to get what I really want. And I didn't get it. And I remember talking to my boss about it. And she gave me some long-winded, convoluted explanation. But the one thing that stuck to me is when she said, so with that said, you're fine where you are. Well, what ended up happening? I remembered that conversation. And I was like, okay. And ultimately, she ended up giving me a small bump. However, she did not give me the small bump because she felt I deserved it. She gave me the small bump out of spite because a lot of the guys, it was a construction company, so a lot of guys out in the field, because it happened all the time. See, I had the setup at the company was very unique. So in my position, I was privy to a lot of the sensitive information, and I helped her with the year stuff. So I knew the increases that people. Plus, I did the payroll too, so I knew what people were. So I knew all this stuff already. Okay, so there were people every year in the field would complain they weren't happy with their bonus, they weren't happy with their increase. They would complain, snap of a finger, whatever it is that they wanted, they got. Maybe if they wanted 10,000, maybe they got like 7,000, something like that. But they got something. Okay. So after I had this conversation with my boss, she comes back. She's all pissed off because all these guys in the field now want their increase. She goes, I just told you you could have one, and now we're just giving everybody else. So you know what? If everybody else is going to get it, I'm going to have my person get it. So I'm like, okay, so you don't feel I deserve to get one. You just want to make a point because you're doing it out of spite. Now, does this benefit me? Yes. But but she never asked me what it was I was looking for or anything like that. And she got me an increase. Not what I was looking for, but you know what? It finally put me into the 6-figure mark, and I kept quiet. But I was still unhappy because that's not what I wanted. And plus, like I said, you weren't giving this to me because you felt I deserved it. You were doing it out of spite. So what ended up happening? I ended up leaving because I knew what I should be making. All the work that I'm doing, I'm working late nights, I'm doing this crap on the weekend, everything you're asking me to do, I'm doing it. Okay? And yeah, as I'm learning new stuff, yes, and you're dumping more work on me, yeah, I'm going to expect an increase because you're giving me the work of 2 or 3 people. I mean, I was literally doing the job of 3 people. I was doing pre-quals, I was doing payroll, and I was doing my regular job. So that's 3 jobs combined into one. And you're only going to pay me for that one job. No. So I knew what my salary should be. And you didn't want to give it to me. So I went someplace. And she was mad that I left. But when somebody is telling you that they are unhappy and telling you they want more money and you are dumping more work, because my boss was always like, I'm going to dump more work, but I'm not going to give you the, and I understood her thinking. I'm not going to give you the increase right away because you may not be able to handle it. And if I give you the increase and then I take the work away from you, can I take your increase away from you? Generally, no. And she had a point. She had a point. If I gave you an extra $20,000 for the extra work that I gave you, and you failed at it, and I say, give it to somebody else, do you think it's fair that you get to keep it? Because now you're not doing the extra work. And she had a point, and I totally agree with her on that. But I was doing the work because she kept dumping more shit on me. So clearly I was doing something right. So, and I remember having that conversation with her when we were talking about the election. I was like, you know, telling people that they're not hurting when they really it's not a winning message. And I said, remember when you told me that you thought I didn't, I was fine where I was and I didn't need the increase? What ended up happening? I disagreed with that, and I went someplace where and I got the money, and that place gave me the money that I wanted right away. I didn't even have to negotiate. They gave me the number that I wanted, and I never gave them an indication of what I wanted. The only thing that I negotiated was that I wanted them to pay my last semester of my master's program. That was it. That's all I wanted them to do. Because you gave me the number one. Now, some would say, well, then you should have pushed harder. I wasn't going to push harder because they already had a range. And, it's very rare that a company, if they're going to give you that range, now they just gave you a regular number. That's different. But they already gave me, I already saw the range that they wanted. And they gave me the top end of that range. And that's what I was going to fight for when I got there. But when they just said they were going to give it to me, I was like, oh, okay. I said, well, this is one thing. Can you pay for this for me? And that was it. So, again, Adams and everybody telling us that the subways are safe, that's not how people feel. And that's why I think this is going to sort of blow up in their face. Like I said, I'm not saying it's not going to make money, but I'm just curious as to, will people rather pay the extra money and drive because they're going to feel safe? Because they're going to be people who have no choice but to drive. Or will this push more people into riding their bikes? Or buying a bike and just biking to work now? Because I believe you're not hitting people with the bike on this congestion pricing, so maybe it's the bike. But I just think the public is going to find a way to give an FU to this program because they're just not going to be happy. And I just disagree with it because it's too many times. Every time they do this budget, it's too many times. There's a deficit. And again, I get the fact that the public contributes to that because you have the people who don't pay their fare. I get that. They jump the turnstile, they're not paying. I understand that completely. But that is not the sole reason you always have a deficit. It is not. So let's see what happens with this congestion price when it goes into effect on the 5th, and let's see if Trump or the Republican Congress is going to be able to knock it out. So we'll see. So that's it for this on the congestion pricing. As usual, give me your thoughts. I would love to know what you guys think about it. Is this program worth it? If you're a supporter of it, give me your reasons why you're a supporter of it. And if you don't support it, tell me why you don't. And, if we get enough comments, I'll do a follow-up video on it. Okay? So happy New Year to everybody. And there will be some new videos dropping soon. Like I said, talk about Luigi Mangione, Trump coming in. Also, the verdict with the Jordan Neely choking case in the subway. Even though he was, found not guilty, he still has the civil piece to deal with. And if you guys don't know, the father filed a civil suit before the judgment even came out on the criminal side of it. So I will speak about that. I do have some thoughts on that as well. So again, everybody, Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and please leave your comments.